Hello, everybody, and welcome to the January 21st, 2019 edition of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine. Anyway, so, first off, happy Martin Luther King Day. Now, you may think that's important, however, that's not the most important thing happening today, because Kamala Harris has officially announced her campaign for president. Wait, she didn't already? Huh. No, she specifically waited until Martin Luther King Day to announce her presidential campaign. And I wonder why a woman of color would wait until MLK Day. Makes you think. Of course she was CNN's favorite, and CNN even released an article called How Kamala Harris Wins on the first day of her campaign. Of course, Chris Kazilla, famous Kamala Harris cheerleader, wrote the article because, as we all know, he's the host of The Point, hereby renamed No Point, aka the show that kept declaring Kamala Harris the nominee already before she even ran, despite the fact they could not point to a single poll that supported that. The polls at the time were purely between Biden and Sanders. Yet, here comes CNN saying, well, Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee with no proof whatsoever because they're CNN, and CNN just likes to make things up. Harris's speech started with, quote, "There are so many powerful voices who are trying to sow hate and division among us. We have got to reject that." When meanwhile, she was one of the people who got onto Representative Tulsi Gabbard for trying to stop anti-Catholic bigotry within the Democratic Party. And mind you, that's coming from an atheist, myself, who does not believe in any religion, including Catholicism. But the fact is, if you want to talk about bigotry, you should be on Gabbard's side here. She did not voice any support for that, instead supporting the opposition to that, led by Dianne Feinstein. However, here is the important thing going into 2020. As of right now, there are 8 candidates running: Castro, Delaney, Gabbard, Gillibrand, Harris, Ojeda, Warren, and Yang. Out of those, Gabbard, Ojeda, Warren, and Yang are progressives. However, Castro, Delaney, Gillibrand, and Harris are not. Now, what we want, and this is something Kyle Kalinske has been talking about throughout the entire 2020 election build-up, we want more corporatists than progressives. It's that simple. That is the only way we can guarantee a progressive candidate, as that would mean that the corporatists will split their votes voting for Castro and Delaney and Gillibrand and Harris and Booker and Hickenlooper, breakfast cereal guy, all of that. Kamala Harris is a corporatist. Her refusal to prosecute Steve Mnuchin proves that. However, this still only leaves us with an equal amount of corporatists and progressives. The New York Times says that Senator Cory Booker and former Governor John Hickenlooper, the breakfast cereal, seriously, he sounds like a breakfast cereal, are more than likely, in fact, all but certain to run for president. In which case, that means that there is about a 60% to 40% ratio of corporatists to progressives, as both of those fall under the non-progressive wing for reasons I'd get to when they run for president. We need Booker and Hickenlooper to run if we want a progressive nominee. It's the only way it's going to happen, as none of these people have the same energy behind them Hillary Clinton did, especially when you look at their ties. I mean, Castro was Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, but how many elections he won? And even then, that was only for 2 years. And he's the most well-connected to the former Obama administration. Meaning, and I cannot stress this enough, we need corporatists. We need them to be there, tear them down before they can get the nominee, and have a progressive become the nominee, if we want a progressive to beat Donald Trump in 2020. Ben Shapiro. You think that he's secretly the Sandman? Probably not, but that'd be kind of weird. Anyway, recently the March for Life happened, and by recently, I mean Friday. What is the March for Life? Well, every year for the past 40 years, a bunch of pro-lifers have marched outside D.C. on the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Seems pretty weird considering the actual current held Supreme Court ruling is Planned Parenthood versus Casey, not Roe v. Wade for abortions, but okay, and if anything, is a little skewed in pro-life directions because it lets you put up regulations. But again, okay. He actually filmed his podcast live from the March for Life, which I will give him credit is dedication, and used it to debunk some of the most common pro-choice arguments, which I've already debunked those debunkings in the past. What are we at? Episode 161 of this show? So in his 698th episode, he's almost at 700. He used the exact 10 same arguments that I've debunked in less than 200 episodes. You know, you can check the abortion tag over at Ephrom, Josine.blogspot.com if you want. Is that the URL? Yeah, that's the URL. I'm so great at this, I forget my own frickin' URL sometimes. Or just the tags for people like Live Action, Leela Rose, or heck, even Ben Shapiro, because he talks about it quite a bit. You know, in case you couldn't tell. Of course, the only were two things of note. The first one was at one point somebody said, "Well, how do you feel about miscarriages?" And Ben's just snapped. He went in full-on Piers Morgan mode, if you catch my drift. You know, just doing that. How dare you! I will always give Ben Shapiro this. He exposed how big of an idiot Piers Morgan is. That isn't hard. That isn't hard, because Piers Morgan's objectively stupid, but here's the fact. If you think that a fetus is the exact same as a human being, abortion is murder, well, a miscarriage is accidentally killing someone. By that logic. In the real world, we call that manslaughter. So unless you want to reclassify the definition of manslaughter to include fetuses as well, then you're either virtue signaling or engaging in what Daniel Dennett calls belief in belief. And if you don't, then I guess you aren't really pro-life, now are you? And of course I can do the obvious joke, oh, Ben Shapiro's not pro-life because he supports, you know, all these wars and ending wealth, but that's just too obvious. He's not pro-life because he doesn't support making miscarriages manslaughter. Now that's one for ya! Of course, these are just people who don't care about the fact. Live Action keeps promoting these abstinence-only education policies, for instance. And have actually gone after Planned Parenthood. They have this really funny video, and it's funny for all the wrong reasons. Where, like, this girl goes up to a Planned Parenthood employee who's supposed to be a sex educator and asks them about BDSM. And she actually answers the questions, and Live Action thought that proved something. Of course, they don't know that, you know, states with abstinence-only education have the highest amount of teen pregnancies. Louisiana's voted Republican every time since 2000. And they have the highest amount of sexual partners on average at over 15 per person in Louisiana. Man, they just must be having orgies all the time in Louisiana. I remember I once heard Dinesh D'Souza make this point that, oh, back when the gay marriage debate was happening, oh, these gays just don't want to marry because it gets in the way of their promiscuous lifestyle. Or promiscuous, my bad. And then I'm like, well, maybe apparently it's Louisiana that has all the promiscuity. I guess conservatives don't want to marry. Let's take away their marriage rights. But enough about stupid things Dinesh D'Souza said like 17 years ago. But, of course, there was the line everybody focused on. And it was the baby Hitler line, where Ben Shapiro said that he would not kill baby Hitler and no pro-life person would, because he would actually destroy baby Hitler with facts and logic and therefore stop the Holocaust. What? Okay, his actual plan involved taking him out of that environment, but that doesn't make any sense. Power-hungry people would rise anyway, and anti-Semitism was common in Europe. In 1517, Martin Luther wrote a book called On the Jews and Their Lies. Blaming the Jews was just what you did in Europe. There was no taking him anywhere else. Now, you could make the case, well, then why kill him specifically? Why not kill all Europeans? I'm joking! Don't actually try and go back in time and kill all Europeans. That was a weird sentence. To which my answer is, it's almost like this whole debate is really, really stupid. Oh, also, Mike Pence called into the Ben Shapiro show that same day in honor of the March for Life, in which he praised the pro-life president. What has this president done that's so pro-life? Stopped us from giving foreign aid to other countries that go to abortion. Why are we doing that? Like, I'm pro-choice, but I typically don't believe in foreign aid anyway. For that matter, we have the Hyde Amendment preventing us from doing that in our own country. So Donald Trump just applied that to the rest of the world and he's now a pro-life president? You people are very, very easy to impress. I mean, for God's sake, live action praised an unconstitutional restriction Alabama passed that basically said, if the court ruling gets overturned, we'll do it. A 40-year-old one, for the record. Anyway, I'm Ephrom, and good night.